And finally, with Wolves, Paul, Gary O'Neill still chasing that first Premier League victory this season. They're now in dead last in the Premier League. How much longer does he have? Would anything but a win at home against Southampton be his last match in charge of Wolves, heading into the international break, of course?
Listen, we're in that kind of territory, aren't we? You know, without a win this far on into the season, it's looking more and more difficult for Wolves. I didn't see this coming at the start of the season because of the job that Gary O'Neill did at the start of last season. But I think this is a continuation of the way that they finished the end of last season. When you look at results and you look at home performances especially, any manager that's gone this long without a decent run of results it's unlikely that they're still in the job. I like Gary O'Neill. I think he's a top young manager who has been given an opportunity. But I think it becomes very, very important, let's say, for the football club to stay in the Premier League. And owners will panic, and owners will press the button because of Premier League security and Premier League safety. You look at the teams that are down there now, Wolves without a win. It's a huge, huge game for them this weekend against Southampton. I'm going to that game. I'm actually at that game this weekend. It's one I'm looking forward to. I have no doubt that he's under a lot of pressure. But you look at the recent results that Wolves have had. Okay, draw at home against Crystal Palace. That's one that they'd be earmarked to maybe win and get out of trouble. They drew away at Brighton, last-minute goal. Fantastic result for them, though, away at Brighton. They only lost 2-1 to Manchester City, which isn't a season-defining game. The worrying performance was at Brentford when they had 5 put past them. They only got beat 2-1 by Liverpool. So what the point I'm making is they got beat 2-1 by Liverpool. They got beat 2-1 by Manchester City. They've drawn at Brighton. They're not getting swept aside every week. They're not far away from getting this result. But actually, the league table, they're sat rock bottom without a win, with only a draw to their name. That they're really struggling. So he's going to be under pressure. Looking at the fixtures going forward, they've got Fulham away, they're at home to Bournemouth, and then they're away at Everton. So there are the opportunities there. It's just depending on whether the board and the ownership have got patience to say, look, we've got the right man and we've got the right manager. We believe he's still got the dressing room on board. He can go and get results. Or, like in many international breaks, do we see managers change? I mean, in the Championship today, we've seen Mark Robins relieved of his duties at Coventry, which was a strange decision for me. 2 wins in the last 3 games, but because they lost to Derby last night, they changed the manager. So you don't know, you can't predict. But actually, the big thing around Wolves is, do they give Gary O'Neill those 3 games after the Southampton game to give them an opportunity of turning it round? Or do they say, a poor result, a poor performance against Southampton, we change the manager in the international break and we give a new manager a hit at 3 very winnable games? It's an interesting situation to keep an eye on. You'll certainly get answers in the next week or so anyway.
And Pete, we keep talking about David Moyes and Graham Potter. Those seemingly are the 2 most names in the news for all of these jobs. Are Wolves readying an offer for one of them? Are they already in contact with one of them? Just so that in case this Gary O'Neill situation continues to go south, they can be the first one to jump on managers with such good Premier League experience.
Yeah, the key here is these are 2 proven Premier League managers who are available. Obviously makes it easier for any club who is interested in making a change to maybe make a move for Graham Potter or David Moyes. And as I said, David Moyes, been there, done it. He's been down there with teams in relegation battles and got them out of trouble. So if Wolves did decide to part with Gary O'Neill, there's not many better names out there right now available to come in and transform a club's fortunes, which I think David Moyes could do. Graham Potter as well, again, is a proven manager. I'm sure he's ready for that opportunity to get back into the Premier League following the disappointing time at Chelsea. And although Wolves are struggling at the wrong end of the table, like Paul mentioned earlier, probably a bit surprised that they are actually down there considering how well they did under Gary O'Neill last season. And I think the squad maybe is a bit stretched right now as well with injuries and everything, but there is quality in there, and I do expect them, whoever is the manager, whether it's Gary O'Neill or somebody else, I expect them to soon climb the table and get out of that trouble at the wrong end of the Premier League.
I think the thing for Wolves is that the Wolves fans, they're not going to see whoever comes in next as a progression. I don't think they're going to see whoever comes in next, if that is the case, as a troubleshooter, as somebody to get them out of trouble and ensure Premier League safety. I don't think you're going to see an appointment if Gary O'Neill is to be relieved of his duties, if he does lose his job. And the thing is, I don't think there's going to be a manager that's brought in that's any chances taken type manager. You're not going to take a chance on a young manager who's got a decent CV, who plays a certain progressive attacking style of football, maybe a little bit open defensively, but his team are a good watch. I think if Gary O'Neill does lose his job, the Wolves fans, you're looking at potentially a manager coming in who will make you robust, make you hard to beat, and ensure Premier League safety. So I can't see it being a forward-thinking, I can't see the Wolves fans looking at that thinking, yeah, that's going to be the future of our football club. We're going to develop and going away. it's going to split. It's going to divide opinion, because some will say, okay, yeah, get it. We have to stay in the Premier League. That's of vital importance. I can stomach maybe a few indifferent performances and the football not be great to watch. And others will say, look, I want to watch my team play in a certain way and be in the Premier League at the same time. So whoever comes in next at Wolves, if that is the case, it will certainly divide opinion.
And Pete, is there money to be spent in January should a new manager come in? Are they able to kind of back a new manager with one or two signings to ensure Premier League survival?
Yeah, well, we know money has been tight at Wolves over the last couple of transfer windows. They've had to sell their best players just to balance the books. We saw Max Kilman, the captain, leave for West Ham. Pedro Neto leave for Chelsea as well. So they obviously were big money departures from the club. Wolves didn't really replace Kilman in the summer, so they're quite short defensively. I think that'll be a key area of the team that definitely needs strengthening if the right player is available in January. I don't think there'll be lots of funds available for whoever the manager is at Molineux come the January transfer window, but I think there will be some money set aside to try and improve squad options, and bringing in a new centre-back will be a key priority. And obviously, like Paul says, staying up in the Premier League is so important for all these clubs due to the financial riches that is on offer, because it would be a disaster for Wolves to go down and suffer relegation, because you'll end up seeing the squad decimated, and financially the club has been in a precarious position, so it won't be helped by getting relegated. So yeah, I think if Wolves find themselves still in that relegation battle in the January transfer window, the owners might have to dip their hands in their pockets to help the manager and give him money to try and improve the squad.